So as an experienced general management consultant, you have led large-scale system transformation projects, project monitoring units in governments, and have worked on building successful companies in the development industry. Along with an undergrad degree in electronics and communication engineering, you're also an alumnus of Stanford University Graduate School of Business. You have previously worked at the Suniti Initiative and the Boston Consulting Group and are currently the Vice President and Head of the Project Monitoring Unit at Invest India. So thank you so much for taking out the time to have this discussion with me.
Thank you.
So our discussion today will revolve around impact investing in the Indian landscape. According to the Global Impact Investing Network, globally there are over 1,700 organizations that manage 715 billion US dollars in impact investing assets under management. And India is an opportunity-rich environment, and it seems to be emerging as one of the more attractive markets for impact investing worldwide. While India is a thriving social enterprise ecosystem, there are still many organizations that struggle to access the capital that they need. So, why is it that traditional philanthropy in terms of grants or donations are not sustainable enough to keep the social enterprise system going? And how does impact investment play a role in partly solving that problem?
Thank you, Anusha, and I think it's a great question to start the discussion. Before we get into why impact investing has started occupying more space in the philanthropy world also, and for that you need to understand the risk reward profile, as we often call it in the investment world, that what is the risk of putting this capital into a certain investment and what is the reward for corresponding to that.
Yeah.
Having been a trader quite early in my career for 5 years, every time I would make an investment, I had to always evaluate how much risk is involved in this trade and what is the upside, the return that I'm going to make. And in fact, generally in life also, most of the decisions in our life is a function of risk and reward. Coming back to the impact investment world, so on one end you have high risk, high reward investors who are like the venture capital funds like Sequoia, SAF partners. And on the other hand side, you have, I would say, very minimal risk, almost zero, no risk. And there's some reward for philanthropy capital where they put in the money. They are not looking for a financial return, but they are more looking for an impact, which is altogether a different axis that now you're talking about.
Yes.
So impact investing actually, I would say, instead of being a two axis problem, it's now a 3-axis thing where you are measuring the performance. So you are looking at what is the risk involved in a particular investment, what is the return corresponding to that, but at the same point of time, you're also looking what is the impact of this. Now, why this is gaining traction compared to philanthropy capital? I moved from private sector to non-profit and spent a couple of years, so my opinion might be biased, and I'm again sharing all of this with the caveat that these are my personal observations. Philanthropy capital has a very good role in terms of where there are investments or there are opportunities where you can't make money. There is just no way to make money in those investments, but still those problems needs to be solved. You know, so that's where that's a core, I would say, application of philanthropy capital. But then there are problems where you can actually make money. Probably the return that you would be getting is not as I would say rewarding as a completely for-profit venture. So let's take the example of edtech. EdTech companies in India are like right now, this time the valuation is going through the roof. Now, when you put that EdTech project to a metropolitan kid or to a upper income family, people who can pay, sure, you can build a very high profitable venture where you invest money, you get the money out of the customer, and the venture is profitable. But the same problem needs to be solved for more than 250 million odd children going to government schools.
Yes.
Who don't have the money to pay to the kind of pricing that any for-profit venture would charge. So at that point of time, impact capital would come in, which would be more like, okay, we will invest in companies which are building solutions for people who don't have the financial resources to pay for it, but there is a market opportunity. So if I charge, let's say, $100 per month, there is no market. But if I charge $20 per month, there is a positive impact that they are learning. At the same point of time, when I get scale, my venture would be also profitable. So in such a situation, impact capital comes in. Now
Right.
you may ask that why not do this with philanthropy capital? Sure, you can do that. In fact, what we call hybrid finance is or blended finance. That
Yes.
lot of these places we start with philanthropy capital, and once there is enough acceptance and the market gets created where the user is ready to pay the services,
Yes.
then philanthropy would stop paying the money and impact finance comes in, and they are like, okay, we will charge you less, but we'll get the return out of that.
Yes.
Also, the fact that the problems of the world are too much. You need a pool of money that is self-sustainable.
Yes.
In philanthropy, that is not happening. But
Yeah.
if you are making a return on that, that return is less than market return of a private capital, then at least you can sustain that. I have a 100 million portfolio in impact investing. I start making 7%. I'm not eating into the main pie. With the same money, even if I'm taking risk, I might survive for 100 years with the same capital without looking for additional funding and do more longer term work.
Yes.
So just like companies and investment needs to be sustainable for a long term growth, even investments needs to be self sustainable at time, would require every entrepreneur, social entrepreneur, to like value that money and always seek that while I'm delivering impact, is this model sustainable? Well, I don't think it's a either or answer. Both have an important, they can coexist. They can in fact work together. Like I gave you the example of blended finance. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's my response.
So is there an opportunity wherein governments across the world can play a role in mainstreaming impact investing?
So across the world, I think there is an opportunity, and in fact, some of the governments are doing it. One of the challenges with government systems is typically that traditionally, not many governments have systems where taking risk or trying out new things is rewarded. Like typically, government wants to spend money on something which has been proven. So one of the ways in India, I think this is working is impact investment is helping you identify those solutions. Let's say if impact investors helps you build those 5 edtech solutions which are suited for government schools or government colleges, then eventually government becomes a client for them. And
Yeah.
for in the long run, the investor is getting benefited by the government money. However, I think you will read about Government of India has a startup fund. This is how they are supporting impact investment.
Right. So, talking about the social stock exchange, the economic survey released by the Union Ministry of Finance in the beginning of this year highlighted the concept of setting up an SSE in India for raising capital by organizations that are working to realize social welfare objectives. There was also an analysis by the India Development Review, and it stated that given the number of non-profits in India, it is understood that only a small proportion will be able to list on the social stock exchange. It is possible that a significant gap may open up between those who can avail those and those who cannot, right? So, does this seem like an issue that may arise for India? And according to you, how is it that this problem can be tackled?
Social stock exchange still in concept, it's a great idea. It's something India needs. It's something which social entrepreneurs in this country would be immensely benefited by, because everybody needs capital, and if you can raise it through exchange, nothing like it. I think the way to go about this is not do the program thinking that there might be a gap that will open up,
Mhm.
but to design a system where you need very little compliances, or a non-profit that does not have a very fancy team or very qualified people. The idea is to make the entire process simpler
Mhm.
and make sure that there is as much of a level playing field as there can be. To keep the processes simpler, you could invest lot and lots of money in building capacity of the MSMEs, run workshops, trainings, provide online tutorials. I don't know, if there is a problem, there is always a solution. So list out what are the reasons because of which you think there could be a gap, and then accordingly include that in the design of the social stock exchange. If you think that there are far too many financial compliances, make that simpler.
So talking about the collective impact of private and public sectors, what are the key actions that these private and public sectors need to take in order to make the country a more prominent actor in the impact investing revolution?
So India as a market is definitely on the radar of every impact investor, and it's because there is opportunity to impact the lives of so many people. The scale is immense. The kind of solutions that impact capital aims to support, they have much more, I would say, significance in a developing country like India. Um, few things that where right now we are still struggling is, one is definitely measurement of impact itself, and there is something called eye washing also. So you might have a tobacco company which is running healthcare centers in villages and saying, I'm doing impactful work. But if your 99% of the work is leading selling tobacco, then 1% can't be said that I'm doing impactful work. So this is where first impact investor needs to gain a consensus. And I think the IIC report that you quoted, that's an organization that is working a lot on this, where they have got in the Asha Impacts of the world and the Umidyars and all the leading Indian impact investors under one roof, and try to get them to agree on a consensus of how the impact measurement should happen. So that's on the part of impact investment. I would say that one big problem that needs to be solved. Also, typically, so far, if you look at the distribution of the money that you said has come to India, most of that money has gone into renewables, and there is a reason for that. Like, you get good returns, etc., etc. But slowly, there is an approach where you put in more diversified money. So in public education, public health, waste management. So those are some of the key sectors which traditionally have not offered that much of financial return.
Yeah.
And that's where slowly I think I already see private investors started putting in money.
Right.
On the government side, I think just simplifying, if there could be a tax incentives for a impact investment or a social entrepreneurs, just figuring out the ecosystem for them, the logistics of that, the compliances for that, because you have to understand a completely for-profit company with deep pockets can do anything.
Yeah.
But a social entrepreneur who is running paycheck to paycheck, or who has to justify every money, those things I think needs to be figured out.
Invest India, which was set up in 2009, is a non-profit venture under the Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, Ministry of Commerce and Industry. As the National Investment Promotion and Facilitation Agency, Invest India focuses on sector-specific investor targeting and development of new partnerships to enable sustainable investments in India. So, what is the role that Invest India plays in supporting this revolution in impact investing?
On the impact investing side, there's some sectors, and like I said before, a lot of money has gone into renewables and microfinance. So that's where we have a dedicated desk, the renewable desk, which is working with investors who are getting FDI money into the country and facilitating those investments. So that's I would say a clear value proposition that Invest India does. If you look at the International Solar Alliance, which is based out of Gurgaon, and it's a massively important organization. So we work very closely with them in shaping the narrative around renewables, around solar power, around designing the policies around how we can reach the commitment that we have made to Paris Climate Agreement, etc. So in that and microfinance, there is a very clear value chain that Invest India as the national FDI investment promotion agency, we are doing that.
Yeah.
Apart from that, some of the the problem that I highlighted before, where private capital can work in. So we are working with IIC and other impact investors to understand how we can support them in building this tax ecosystem or the policies around this. There is a SDG investor map that Invest India recently published in partnership with UNDP India, where we have identified few sectors and identify what are the opportunities on those sectors. And this is again going to act as a playbook for global investors who are looking to invest in India, that they can see that, okay, in education, what are the trends in India? Where is the opportunity?
Yes.
Which state is more supportive? Where is the which where is the maximum opportunity for impact? Let's say, look at solar. You can look at, for an investor sitting outside, how do they decide whether to go to Bihar versus Rajasthan, right? That report, the UNDP investor report, SDG map, would help the SDG Sustainable Development Goals focused investors in identifying the right opportunity. And as and when they decide to come to India, of course, our various team will support them. Commitment that Government of India has made to advancing the SDG goals, that has created new opportunities for private sector capital or impact capital to come in. So as a promotion agency, we also share these regular updates, or I would say share the India opportunity story with the impact investors. Invest India is like sort of evaluating every government program, identifying the place where private capital can come in and make an impact, and then we work with those investors to make sure that things happen. So we are ecosystem players. We are within the government. We want to understand what are the good things that are happening, and then take that story to private capital. If they are on board, then again bring them back, help them at every stage, and make sure that the people whom we have set out to serve on day one, we are doing that. That's the end outcome of anything that we do here at Invest India. Yeah.
Right. All right. So thank you so much for taking out time.